we may think, oh, bacteria, they're not good, but actually there are friendly bacteria that actually, in fact, make some of our B vitamins and other, help with hormones and neurotransmitters.
When life's visible and hidden battles make you doubt that peace, love, and full-on living are possible, We Win Within brings the proof. Guests crack open their great stories that may overlap with what each of us carries, sharing raw truths, hard-won discoveries, and triumphs that illuminate the road for us all. I'm Hindy Stegman, daughter of Holocaust survivors, speaker, coach, and fellow journeyer in life, inviting you to listen, look inside, and claim the champion already rising in your heart.
So, hi, everybody. I'm Hindy Stegman, and I'm your host for the We Win Within podcast. And today you're in for a real treat. We have a very special woman. Her name is Stacey-Anne Bistak. And Stacey-Ann is going to tell us her story of how she got from point A to point Z. So, welcome, Stacey-Ann. How are you today?
Oh, I'm great. Thanks, Hindi, and thank you for having me on.
My pleasure. So, Stacey-Ann, I always like to start let's start at the beginning. So, tell us a little bit about your childhood. Where are you from? And are you an only child? You have siblings? Where are you in the birth order? Just go for it.
Yes. Okay. So I'm Stacey-Ann. I was born Ferns. I was born in Bombay, India, and actually I'm the only child of my parents. And growing up, I was always very curious. I loved to observe people a lot, and that was my main forte actually, because when we had people over to our houses, I would be very quiet and observant. Sometimes I'd make some trite remarks, but after they left, I would describe them in detail to my parents, and we'd have a blast because they would uh, not have noticed some things about them that I noticed. So I was a very, very keen observer, and I think that has stood me in good stead because throughout my journey, it's my observations and uh, actually intuition from the observations that have helped me along the way. So anyway, that part of me was uh, I was an observer, but I was also very creative, and I loved everything natural. Like my parents brought me up in the most natural way. My dad was very keen on having foods in season, in eating wholesome foods, and in not introducing, colors and sugars and artificial things into my life. In fact, he actually banned shampoos and conditioners and things like that. So even though I wanted to, as I was growing up, like to be like the other girls, but now I see how wise he was, and I'm so glad that he kept me away because it wasn't my go-to, and I got to know the detrimental effects later on, actually, much later on, and then I see I was saved from a lot of things. So,
So, let
so
me
growing
ask
up,
you something. As a child, then, did you
yes,
learn um, by watching, I would assume, how to make healthy shampoos and the oils to make your hair shiny? And did you watch as your either mother or father made these concoctions, if you want to call them, um, and
actually,
remember?
well, regarding my hair, actually, I never used any oils, which was unlike what people did in India. Now, the thing is, I was part Indian, but also we have some heritage of British and Portuguese, and maybe some Austrian. So our families never really used oil on our heads, even though, Ayurveda does use a lot of oils. But so it wasn't really um, things that I put on my hair rather than what I ate that actually nourished my hair, I think. And it was naturally vibrant and healthy. And it didn't need much upkeep. So that's how I was brought up. And and I think dad was a great reader. Mom was a teacher, actually. So she too was always, upgrading herself on what she learned and did. And she was very good at making healthy food. So I used to love to be with her in the kitchen and observe what she did and, the spices she used. She never used to make anything too pungent because, my little taste buds were not that developed. and but the combination of spices actually, I think, kept us healthy. And also, it ignited my passion for cooking. And now I do therapeutic cooking in a way, incorporating those spices and herbs and even superfoods that I find that may be unpalatable on their own, but when combined in the right proportions and combinations, they are really wholesome and delicious and nourishing.
Well, it's
So,
interesting because some of the greens, I used to say, it smells like barn dung. But my body, when
right.
I drink it, says thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's right.
So it's
Yeah.
a matter of programming and
Mm-hmm.
saying, okay, get over the smell
That's
because your
right.
body says thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And also, the more I think we are introduced to these nourishing foods and things from a younger age, we develop a natural sense for knowing what the right things are. And like for example, I never used to really want sweets and candies and things like that. I never had a craving for them because I think I was being nourished naturally, and my body didn't need any extra, you know, um, like comfort foods to fall back on. and
So do you think it's more important what you put into your body or what you leave out?
oh yes, well, it's a combination of both, I think, because uh, but I think what you put in actually sets the stage for what you leave out.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. So do you
because
work with parents to guide them?
hmm yes, I work with parents. Especially for those children who are finicky eaters, I try to incorporate certain things that the parents can actually sneak into their foods without the children actually knowing it, but it could be nourishing for the children. So yeah, some children just want to eat like carbohydrates, and that's it. They don't get enough protein, so incorporating some things that they could sneak into, like rice or some muffins or things like that, or
So
healthier
do you
foods.
do you find in working with families that we have the word dis-ease, right?
Yes.
Dis-ease. And when they start cooking in a healthy way,
Yes.
that some of the dis-ease or pain that their children are presenting, and even for themselves, obviously. But a lot of
hmm
times we do more for our children than we're willing to
That's
do
right.
for ourselves. Isn't that right?
Yes. Correct. Correct. Yes.
So have you
Yeah.
found that there's been a shift within the family when they do that, when they start to eat more healthy?
Yes, definitely a shift because the parents, I mean, they see, for example, first the change in their child, and then when they see that for the child, maybe they had some problem that they never really paid attention to, and they then begin to think, oh, it's maybe what I'm eating too that is actually causing my problems. And then they come around and actually ask me, could I do this for myself? I say, yeah, sure. And I can suggest some other things for you if you haven't been incorporating these foods, or if you have, like some people have allergies, and sometimes it's just a deficiency, or it's they're eating the same food all the time, you know? So people need variety in their diets as well, and quite a bit of change according to the seasons, actually, because in these ancient systems of medicine, they always ate in season. They knew that the microbiome that was presented by the plants and the vegetation growing in season was actually beneficial for our own microbiome. So having that replenishment at the right times for the right, seasons with the right temperatures and the humidity and the bacteria and viruses that can come along with the season, on our immune systems are very much dependent on our microbiome. In fact, like 75 to 85% of the immune system lies in the gut. So if we don't nourish the gut and have the proper microbiome to protect ourselves, we can fall prey to these microbes that are around us.
Those are big words, and a lot of people don't understand. What
Yes,
does that mean? Microbiome, nourishing
yes,
my microbiome.
yes. Okay, yes. Sorry, I used those words. I should explain. So now our bodies are made up of cells. We might remember the cell from, the high school biology, but we have of course, we are composed of different kinds of cells. But actually, in our bodies, we have like trillions more bacteria that live in us, and we don't even know it sometimes. We don't pay attention. But they are very important to our health. In fact, now these little bacteria, we may think, oh, bacteria, they're not good, but actually, there are friendly bacteria that actually, in fact, make some of our B vitamins and other, help with hormones and neurotransmitters. So they are so important, we don't even know. And they have a symbiotic relationship with us. So they help us, we help them. And we help them by eating good foods, and that helps to nourish them and make them grow better. And
So give
now
me an
they are,
example of some of the foods that help
uh,
to nourish your microbiome.
okay, so there are some, say, we eat plants, and plants have some fibers that we don't digest. But these bacteria can actually digest those fibers, and they are food for the bacteria. So that's why it's important to eat, vegetables and fruits with fibers and not just drink, fruit juice, which has no fibers at all. And that has more sugars that actually, that's how it actually spikes your blood sugar. So having this good combination of a wholesome food um, is actually nourishment for the good bacteria. And that comprises your microbiome. Now, the microbiome is found all over your body. You have it on your skin, you have it in your gut, you have it in your brain, every organ, your heart, everywhere. So it's so important for them to be healthy, for us to be healthy.
So does that mean that I have to pay attention to the soap that I use when I take a shower, to the moisturizers or other things that I put on my body, which I
Mhm.
don't ingest,
Right?
but does that then penetrate and affect my microbiome?
Yes, in fact, some of the lotions and things that you use topically that have chemicals can actually destroy the good bacteria. So that's how harmful they are. And sometimes, you use, actually, you even use antiperspirants and things like that. I mean, of course, the main ones that you get in the, in the main uh, outlets have a lot of chemicals which are bad. And in fact, those have been shown actually to cause like breast cancer. Those who use those chemicals as antiperspirants and deodorants actually get breast cancer because it's so close to that area, right? In the armpit. Um, so,
So is there a big no-no, like that you recommend people to read the ingredients,
oh
right?
yeah, definitely, definitely.
And is there something in particular or numerous things that you say absolutely not? Do not buy a product that has this inside?
Yes, right. Yeah, so definitely stay away from those that have aluminum and parabens and phthalates and, the propylene glycol. And if you see any of those big chemical names that you don't know what they are, I would say stay away from them. I mean, of course, some natural products do have like the Latin names; those are big names too. But if in doubt, um, ask someone. Ask a nutritionist or someone who is well versed in something like this, or do your own research. So that's how I would say. I actually curate products for people so they know what to buy and what to look for. So in terms of all these things too.
Well, that's really important because I don't think a lot of people realize
Mm,
that, the deodorant that they're buying is could affect other things that are
yeah,
going on with them health-wise, right?
right. Yes.
And so we just buy into the marketing and don't
Mm-hmm.
realize that there's such an effect on us. So that's
That's right.
wonderful
Yes.
that you work with people. And do you do this on an individual basis? You get a list of what's going on with them? Do you work
Yes.
intuitively? Um,
Well, well, if they approach me with some kind of challenge that they're going through, I do an intake with them. I ask a whole bunch of questions because I know these could be the causes, and I would just want to make sure, like, to be on the safe side, that I rule out everything that is not right. So I have like an intuitive feeling what it could be, but I do ask questions and I clarify things. So that's how I go about it.
so in your experience
Hmm.
with, let's go back to kids for a second.
Yeah.
Is there certain patterns that you see showing up, whether it's irritability or they can't sleep, or what is it that brings parents to you?
Hmm. Um, yeah. So sometimes it is the irritability. It's like children just screaming, just not wanting to obey, just being so boisterous that the parents can't even control them sometimes. And then I see, okay, first of all, their diet is not in place. I mean, I don't mean diet like like restricting things, but
Right, the
a
food
wholesome,
that
a
they
wholesome,
eat.
yeah, a wholesome, a nourishing, um, a variety of foods is not in place, and that's what I found with um, some children I was taken care of. They were only eating like carbohydrates, which was bad. I mean, they do need protein and all they were not touching vegetables, which is bad. I mean, some children like prefer fruits, but they don't like their vegetables. If at least that is better than nothing. But if you're only eating like starches and pizza and rice and bread, that's not good. I mean, I mean, their bodies need the protein definitely, and so having as I help the parents actually incorporate protein without the child actually knowing, making them giving them recipes for healthy dishes so that the child actually was yumming it up. Like, see, it was just a slight change. They didn't even have to tell the child, oh, eat your protein. They just presented a dish that smelled nice, tasted good, and there was a change. And actually, these children started sleeping better. Their moods changed. They were even doing better in school. They could focus better. And
What do you think
otherwise, like,
about getting children at a young age to actually help with cooking or
oh,
preparing,
yes.
using different colors and
Hmm.
tastes and making concoctions that are presented to them? So obviously, if you don't give them a choice to add a sugar item, they can't do that. But
Hmm.
let them become the chefs a little bit.
That's right.
What
Yeah,
is your
I
thought on
love that.
that?
I love that. And I tell parents actually to do that because the more the child is involved with making something, they feel more accomplished. And, if they made something, they want to eat it definitely. and then they want to serve it to others, you know. I mean, growing up, I used to love to help my mom in the kitchen, and some people I still to this day remark to I mean remember them remarking to my mom, why are you letting her be in the kitchen and cut the vegetables? She's so young, she should be out and playing. I said, no, I love to do it. I mean, I want to do it. I want to help mom. I want to become like mom, so and I love that. And mom used to allow me to do things, which was good. And then I even became creative. It was so funny that, see, as I said, I didn't crave like sweets and things, but mom would be cutting say, like peeling carrots, and I would take a carrot and I would stick it on a wooden stick, and I would say, ah, here's my ice cream. And I would pretend it was ice cream and eat it. So yeah, the more
Well, I
you
think
allow.
that also, I was going to say, I think that children learn by what they see, right?
Yes,
So
yeah.
it's really hard if the parent or parents don't
Hmm.
eat healthy themselves,
That's
right?
true. Yeah,
So
it's very true.
they're not presenting that kind of thing. And
Yes.
I think whether it's a child, I have a little Yorkie, a little puppy. She's
Oh,
not a
yeah.
puppy, she's actually 9 years old.
Oh, okay.
But she loves carrots and she loves
Yeah.
apples and she loves a lot of fruit and vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
Give her a piece of meat and she's thrilled too, but she doesn't
Mm-hmm.
eat treats. You
No,
know, she
right,
doesn't know about treats. And so if
right.
you give her a treat, people say, I don't understand. She doesn't like doggy treats.
Yeah,
I said, no, give her a carrot.
right. No, it's what
So
surrounds
I
you
think
that
it's the same.
it is the same. Yeah, it's the same with children, and it's what you surround them with that they grow to love, So rather than keep like ready-made foods around, like having natural things that they could grab a fruit or, grab some grapes or something like that is much healthier than sweets and candies and snacks thrown around. Yeah. And of course
So
the
in your years of doing this, have you come up with, let's say you have two or three things,
mhm.
your pearls of wisdom that you think is important for people to start with?
Um, yeah, so I would say start with small changes. Like don't try to do a major overhaul all at once because that could be too much to handle for yourself as an adult or for the child, right? So tiny little changes every day, or maybe even like one little change even for a few days at a time, and continue like build on it so that it's not even noticed after a while. It's tiny little changes make a big difference over time.
So, do you think it's important not to keep those items in the house that you really feel are detrimental? In other words, if you've got it in the pantry, there are
Hmm.
times when you're going to reach for it, right?
Right.
So, do
Yeah.
you get people to understand the change in shopping habits when they go shopping, how important that is?
Yes. And I know in some cases you do need some treats and rewards from time to time. It's only natural, like even if I indulge in, chocolates and things sometimes, but again, I try to choose the healthier ones, not as much sugar and I mean, away from the artificial sugars for sure, because that's another whole problem. And so if you substitute um, some items that they are used to with healthier versions, at least that's a step up. And then you could make it so that it's the healthiest version ever, or maybe make it yourself, and store it so that you don't have to run to the supermarket or reach for or actually buy anything extra. You have your own, which you know what the ingredients are, and they're good for you, and you have no guilt in eating them. So yeah.
And what about processed foods?
Oh, processed foods. I would say steer clear of them as much as you can. If at all, um, you know, I mean, the processed foods that are out there right now are so full of, I would say, junk, and especially, the major contributor to ill health is all the oils in the processed foods, more than the sugars, actually, because that is so um, like energy sapping. Now, I spoke about the cell earlier, and we have these little mitochondria in the cell that are our energy houses that actually give us energy and make us, active and have the energy to do things, even to digest our food. So, if those are zapped because of all the bad oils and bad ingredients in the processed foods, that's how we get dull and lethargic, and that's how we actually even put on weight and can't get it off. So it's not only that, like, it leads to all these metabolic diseases, neurological diseases, cardiovascular, blood sugar regulation problems, and it's bad for uh, disease in general. In fact, it can exacerbate cancers and things like that. So it's so
What are the
important
good
to.
fats that you recommend?
Okay, so the good fats actually, now we had all these, big pundits some time ago say steer clear of saturated fats. They're harmful and they increase heart disease and all of that. But in fact, saturated fats are the fats that are more stable. Oh, I love that puppy. um,
Yes.
and and they actually don't oxidize as quickly as the other fats, the unsaturated ones, like, or the polyunsaturated ones, like most the oils most people use in cooking, like canola and sunflower and olive oil. They oxidize much quicker, and they actually should not be subjected to heat. And that's why um, using actually saturated fats like coconut oil, butter, like grass-fed butter is a good thing, grass-fed ghee and tallow. All of those are excellent oils for cooking because they can also withstand high temperatures without getting oxidized and creating more harmful particles.
What's your thought
So,
about avocado oil, which is popular these days?
oh yeah, avocado oil is good, but I would say not as good as the saturated fats and the ones I mentioned. I mean, having avocados whole is the best way, or avocado oil, like a little bit drizzled over salads, is good. I would still refrain from cooking with avocado oil. So,
And olive oil? You refrain from
yeah,
cooking with olive oil?
yes, I would refrain, unless it's very low heat, and I would actually only use it to drizzle over salads or use it, in some smoothie or something. Yeah.
It's interesting because I think
Hmm.
so many of us don't realize we're
Right.
just so used to using the oils that our mother used, and we just
Mm,
continue, or
I know.
um,
Yeah,
that's
that's true.
great.
Yeah. And
And what about
other,
spices?
oh, spices. Yeah.
Herbs and spices.
Yeah,
What's
herbs
your
and
thought on
spices,
that?
they are really good. In fact, we get bombarded by all these toxic chemicals, as we were speaking about, and other, pollutants in the atmosphere and water and everything. And those create these, they're called free radicals, which are like, harmful particles. They actually lost their charge, an electron. So they grab onto all the electrons from our body and make us, actually low in electrons and actually in a state of disease. So the having um, this antioxidants from spices and herbs is so important to combat these free radicals. Now, for example, these herbs like turmeric, many people know of turmeric. That's been used also in ancient Ayurveda. They always combine it with pepper because that increases the absorption. Also, combining it with fat helps to increase the absorption. So those things can be incorporated in your dishes with, turmeric, pepper, and fat, and then you use it to cook your meals. That's a great way to
I have a
absorb
question.
it.
I have a question on the pepper. Does it
Hmm.
matter whether
Hmm.
you use peppercorns or
Hmm.
you grind the pepper? Does one or the other help you to absorb the nutrients of the turmeric?
Well, peppercorns would also, when they're heated up, release some of their compounds. But I would say the ground spice, and especially if it's ground fresh, then and there, would have more potency
Oh, that's
once it's
interesting.
incorporated. Yeah, because it's it's able to release more of its compounds. Yeah.
And what's your thought then? I know that today a lot of people are into turmeric. All of a
Hmm.
sudden, it's become the go-to.
Yeah.
And as well as what else? Ginger?
Ginger is also great. Yeah, both of them are very anti-inflammatory too, so that they can take care of a whole lot of diseases, because most of our diseases are based on too much inflammation in the body. Even arthritis, all the itises, so they are all based on too much inflammation. Um, of course, inflammation is a good thing because it helps the body uh, to actually attack the invaders, or the to release things that can help heal an injury. But too much all the time is bad, and we may not even know it. But most of us are under a lot of stress all the time. We may think we're not stressed, but just by breathing in toxic air, we can get stressed in our body, and that creates inflammation. So having things like these spices, to turmeric, ginger, and other anti-inflammatories, can help to reduce the inflammation load, and actually make our bodies more responsive to the healing response that it's given by the immune system.
Can you end up doing too much? In other words,
Of
turmeric
spices?
tea, turmeric in your food. Yes, yes.
Oh, well, as long as the turmeric is from a whole, like you're using the whole root, or you're using the actual root powder, uh, you're not going to put so much in that it'll actually taste too bad if it's too much at a time. But you can use a little bit in whatever dish you're using throughout the day. It's not going to be too much, because it's a whole food that your body, it senses the synergy, and it actually is able to absorb it in a way that's most beneficial for it. When you're taking extractions from capsules that are like high extractions, there you can overdose and it's not good. And I don't actually prefer those extractions, because they're only extracting one anti-inflammatory compound, and God created everything to be so synchronous. That's why there are so many different compounds in each plant, and they're meant to be taken as a whole. That's how you get the benefit the most.
Growing up, I never knew about turmeric. It wasn't something that my mother cooked
Mm,
with. And I
right.
remember going to a fresh market and they had turmeric rhizomes. And I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
at first it was ginger,
Ginger.
but
Yeah.
it was a funny color. And I said,
Hmm.
"What is this?" And they said, "Oh, it's fresh turmeric."
Right.
I said, "Oh, what does it taste like?" And so I bought one. I just
Right.
wanted to see. And
Yeah.
boy, I've been hooked ever since because for me
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful taste that my body
Hmm.
just says thank you, right?
Yeah. Right. Yes. I think it also enhances the flavor of the dishes that you add it to. It really does. Mhm. Yeah.
So is there anything else that for some of us that are not used to using those types of herbs or spices that
Hmm.
should be your go-to? Like it's like every day try to use a little bit of?
Yeah, those, I mean, uh, there are so many spices that have different properties. You might have heard of clove. Clove is a great, actually, it has the highest antioxidant content of all the spices. So it's great. It's very um, good for the immune system too. And it actually, you must have heard of clove oil helping with numbing a tooth and helping with tooth pain. That's how powerful it is. I mean, it has analgesic properties. So clove is a great one to use as well. Of course, it can be very pungent and,
Do
strong.
you
So
need to
you,
crush it or can you just have the whole clove
you
in?
can have the whole clove. Yeah, you can have the whole clove. Sometimes I prefer crushing it just to get the more intense flavor, Yeah. But again, you can have the whole clove and you can steep it over and over. It still releases some of the components, so it's good. And of
So
course, other herbs.
actually, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say other herbs too are great, like oregano and thyme and basil, sage. All of those are great. Now the actually using herbs um, when you're doing your barbecue can actually help to offset some of the um, bad chemicals like the acrylamides and things that are formed when meats are heated to high heat, high temperatures. So they're always so protective of us, these herbs and spices.
So is an easy way to get a lot of different herbs, let's say, is to make a concoction of tea, boiling some water and putting in some
Hmm.
cloves and a little bit of turmeric and a little bit
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
ginger and just
That's
throw it
great.
all in there and let it
Oh
steep
yes,
for a little
yeah.
while.
That's a great way to do it. Yes, and then you can sip on it throughout the day when you're thirsty. Even it's great. Yeah.
So would you say that within that concoction, there should be a base that you start with always? In other
There's
words, the go-to.
Oh, the go-to. Yeah, I mean, some people don't do well with turmeric. I mean, not turmeric, with pepper because it can irritate their stomach. So in that case, I would say if you're using the turmeric but can't use the pepper, then I mean, of course, boil the turmeric and add the other spices, and then you can also make like a latte with it because that way the fat, helps with the absorption of the spices, of the antioxidants from the spices.
So you're
So
suggesting to put um
like
to go ahead.
some MCT oil or some coconut milk or something like that, which has a little bit of fat that can actually enhance the whole thing and help with the absorption.
Oh, okay. Ivy, we're going to make a latte.
Yeah.
What do you think?
He or she might lap it up.
She. No, no, no. No pepper for her and
No.
all those things. But
Yeah, right.
no, because sometimes we just don't know how to, we're not making recipe that would call for, the cinnamon or ginger or
Hmm.
nutmeg. And by making infusions, though, we
Yes,
can at least drink it, right?
that's right. Yeah, I know. And
I'm
it's very good.
excited.
Yeah, and it's great for the whole respiratory system too. Like ginger is great, it helps with decongesting you. So yeah, always good. And
Beautiful.
yeah, there are so many. I love doing all these different recipes. I just don't. I'm doing so much that I don't have the time to put the recipes together and post them. So that's the thing. Yeah,
So before we go, is there
yeah.
anything special that you'd like to leave us with? Any pearl of wisdom? Any go to that you feel is important for people to know?
Hmm. I I would think that when you do, first of all, nourish your soul and then your body, nourishment for the mind follows, and you are able to live your life more fully.
So the
And
word is nourishment.
yes, yeah, it has to be nourishment on all fronts. You have to have all of those three in place to be truly nourished. And
So what comes first? Is if you eat better, does that quiet your mind, which then, you know, allows you to take care of your body better? Or do you need to start with the mind? Is there a formula or it makes no difference, whatever works for you?
I think it's whatever works for you and whatever you can make the slightest change for, you know, in that situation you are in. So no matter where you start, I think making the slightest change for good will lead you to all three coming together.
So baby steps.
Baby steps all along the way. And I am a big proponent of sleep as well, which is very important because during sleep, we are actually, you mentioned about what we should put in our bodies and what we should not. And actually, during sleep is when what shouldn't be in our bodies actually comes out if we allow ourselves to sleep well and get the deep sleep. Actually, our whole brain detoxifies, and our bodies detoxify during sleep. So that's why it's so important. We can get the
What does
rejuvenation.
that mean? Our brain detoxifies during sleep.
Okay, so it's very interesting, and this was what I learned only like a few, like 5 years ago or so. Actually, when you sleep, your brain shrinks. It actually shrinks and pumps out all the bad stuff. So it's called like glymphatic drainage. You actually are draining out all the toxins. And if you don't go into those stages of sleep where the brain actually does that, you are holding on to all those toxins. And that's how those, proteins uh, clump together and form those tau proteins and all of those other amyloid plaques and things that are so indicative of the neurological diseases. So that's why the drainage during sleep is so important.
And does that happen more during REM sleep or deep sleep?
It happens during deep sleep. Yeah.
That's really interesting because I don't think we
Hmm.
realize how much of our sleep in any given night is a deep
Hmm.
sleep
Yeah. Right.
or restless sleep, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, I have to look out for my deep sleep. I want to make sure
Yes.
my brain is draining.
In fact, yeah, I have a free gift people can download if they like. They can go to my website and uh, it's called fernsholisticconsulting.com/free sleep, and you can get my um, all the tips and tricks you can to get the best deep sleep ever.
Oh, I think that's wonderful because I don't think we realize. And somehow
Hmm.
my camera is all hazy and phasy. So I
Yeah.
don't know what has happened here.
Yeah.
But let's see if we can correct
Yeah.
that.
Something is a little.
It's
I see it's a little
still
blurred.
hazy. Okay,
Yeah.
no problem. Um, repeat again your website so people will get that.
Oh, thank you. It's www.ferns, FERNZ, like seen up there, holisticconsulting.com/free, FREESLEEP.
Beautiful. And for those of you that are listening and not watching, in Canada, Z is Z. So
Oh
if you're
yeah, sorry.
wondering what Z was, it's Z.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that. Yes.
No problem. Thank you so much, Stacey-Ann. It was
Oh, thank
so
you.
informative. It was so informative. I'm going to make a latte and I'm going to make a couple of other things today. Yes, I'm very
Oh,
excited to
yay.
do that.
Okay.
So
That's
thank
great.
you for
Thank you
giving
so
us your pearls of wisdom.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Hindi. This was great
Okay,
talking to you.
bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.